Welcome to Metro Matters. Today, my guest is Laura Grabowski. Laura is the director for our Housing and Community Development. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we know that you are a friend to the show. You've been on here before, so welcome back.
Thank you.
But you haven't been on the show as the director of Housing and Community Development. So talk a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah, great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I think in the past I've been here talking about vacant and abandoned properties, and that is certainly where I came from. But we recently had a retirement of our director of the Office of Housing and Community Development. And so I'm very honored and humbled to step into that role. Our department does a lot of different things. We provide funding for development of affordable housing, whether that's creation of new units or preservation of existing units, rental and homeownership. We run a very popular down payment assistance program to help lower income Louisvillians become first-time home buyers. We also still address vacant and abandoned properties through our land bank and our city-initiated foreclosure and demolition programs. And then recently, during the pandemic, we also had a very well-funded eviction prevention program. So we do have some client-based service programs like home repair and eviction prevention still.
So you named two things that I want to really follow up on. You talked about affordable housing, and then you talked about the down payment assistance. So let's go with the down payment assistance program. Talk to me a little bit more about that and how someone could get, how is a person eligible or qualify for that, and how do they get more information?
Yeah, absolutely. Our down payment assistance program runs pretty much year-round unless the funding takes a little bit of a pause, which sometimes it does. We have a lot of realtors and lenders who are very familiar with the program, and so a lot of times people in the community looking for a house will hear about our program through their bank or through their realtor. But people can just contact us by going to our website, louisvilleky.gov, and just search down payment assistance, and you'll get to the right place to see all of the application guidelines and the process flow. But generally speaking, if you are in the market for a home and you are a low to moderate income home buyer, you've been renting for a long time, you have a steady job, you've done some, you don't have a ton of debt, these are the types of people that we like to help, and we do. That program does provide actual down payment and closing cost assistance, and the idea is to make whatever home they're purchasing more affordable to them. So there are a lot of eligibility guidelines, and like I said, those are all on the website. Your household needs to be at or below a certain income level. The house you're looking at needs to be at or below a certain maximum. Okay. But for the most part, we serve probably 100, 120 households a year. We have had a lot of smiling faces with getting the new keys to their house. It's a really great program.
Do you have any other programs that helps someone to get in position to even buy? Not just I'm not just meaning the down payment, but maybe they're working on their credit or they just don't even know where to start. Are there any types of programs like that?
Absolutely. Throughout Metro, our office is pretty small, and our clients tend to be either developers with projects that are going to build lots of units, or like I said, a client that is ready to buy. But that's where we rely on our partners at Metro. It's our Office of Resilience and Community Services and their Financial Empowerment Center, along with the Urban League. Those are the agencies in town, along with, I'm sure, others that really prepare people for homeownership, whether they have debt that they need to work on or their credit score needs to be improved. We do a lot of referrals to those agencies, and then when those people are ready, they come back to us and are ready for that.
And so if you don't mind, give that web address again, so if someone's listening and they want to find out more information about all of those programs, they can go to the site.
Absolutely. It's our city website at louisvilleky.gov. And then if you're particularly interested in down payment assistance, you would just type that into the search bar, and it will pull up our down payment assistance program. If you're interested in the other programs that we run, the best thing to do is to look for all city departments and find housing and community development, and you'll see everything that I've talked about here.
So now let's go to affordable housing. We know that affordable housing was one of the main focal points that the mayor ran on. He wants to develop more affordable housing. Is it 15,000 units throughout? It's something, I don't know if that's the correct number.
That's right.
15,000 units during his tenure. So talk a little bit about how your department is a component of that initiative.
Absolutely. Mayor Greenberg has an extremely ambitious goal, and we are very excited to be part of that. The plan has been laid out in the My Louisville Home Plan, which is also available on our website. So people who are interested in all of the detailed strategies can go there. But really, it is focused around a variety of different taking a look at how we can help create affordable housing options in the city for renters and for homeowners. And so it includes some of the programs that we've talked about: down payment assistance, funding to developers, funding the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. It also includes strategies that may not necessarily be owned or the responsibility of our department, but things like our land development code, which governs all of the zoning regulations in town. The vast majority of our city is zoned for single family. So if you are a developer and you wanted to put some apartments, even if you wanted to put 5 or 6 apartments on a lot, you're going to have to go through some zoning changes, and so there are some strategies in there around not just funding new affordable housing, but also trying to make the process for affordable housing development a little bit easier and more streamlined and more, frankly, accessible to everyone in the community. We've seen through the recent housing needs assessment that we need affordable housing everywhere. We already sort of knew that, but people who want to live in the east, in the south, in the west, and the north should all have access to affordable housing.
And so you mentioned the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Is that something that is an organization that is associated with your department?
Well, it is a separate organization. It has a separate board. There is a city appointment to that board. Our previous director was on that board, and I've just been named to that board. They do receive funding, or they have received funding from Metro through the Metro Council and the mayor's budget. And in fact, in the past couple of years, they've received more than they ever have. They operate similarly to a lender. They have funding. Developers with projects will submit applications for that funding, and it gets underwritten and then approved. So the trust fund, it is not a governmental entity. It is a separate entity, but they do a lot of great work creating affordable housing in town.
So with all the need for affordable housing, but then on the other hand, we have all of these abandoned properties. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting connection, and it's one reason why I'm really glad that our departments are together, that we have both the affordable housing side and the vacant and abandoned property side. It is a fact of life, I guess, that in order to build housing, you need land, or if we already have housing and the housing's not in great shape, it needs to be rehabbed so that it can be used by a new family or a new household. However, where the concentrations of the vacant and abandoned properties are tend to be in areas in our town, in our city. It happens to be in our western neighborhoods, and those are areas that right now we do have a lot of affordable housing, and so what we try to do through our vacant and abandoned property strategies is we use a lot of different legal tools to get that house out of an abandoned state, and that means that it's dilapidated. There is no owner for whatever reason. The owner is not responsive. And we'll use different legal tools to get that back into a productive use. In some cases, it may be a great idea to have the end use of that property be for a new house as an affordable homeownership option, or for a developer to build a duplex or a fourplex as affordable housing. We certainly need that. But we also need a good mix of housing as well. So we try to, when we look at affordable housing and vacant and abandoned properties, it is not a completely clear overlay. It's not a clean overlay. There is certainly room for affordable housing in the vacant and abandoned property world, and there's room for affordable housing elsewhere in areas of town where we don't have high concentrations of those vacant properties.
So does this new this comprehensive plan that has been talked about, does that include a plan for affordable housing for the abandoned properties?
It does. In that, so the plan, which is called My Louisville Home, the goal is to be able to build and create those 15,000 units of affordable housing, create and preserve, I should clarify that. So one of those strategies is the city, through the land bank, does own vacant lots. So one of the strategies would be, let's figure out how to get those vacant lots, put some new construction on them, work with developers or possibly a modular housing producer to create new construction infill lots. That is how the vacant properties are part of the My Louisville Home Plan. Every strategy in that plan has something to do with how are we creating or how are we preserving 15,000 affordable housing units.
So then at that rate, so there's the plan. How does the community get involved? How is their voice being heard throughout this plan?
So when the plan was being developed, there was a period of public comment. I know our office did meet with multiple, developers, nonprofit, for-profit, to try to make sure that the plan included everything that it needed to include. As an example, the draft plan that went out didn't include anything around co-housing, and we heard from the community that was a desired type of housing that doesn't necessarily exist so much in town. So that was added then to the final plan to support different kinds of shared equity co-housing. And then the other thing that we did was we built a dashboard so the community and the public and everyone can see where we are on that plan, and that is on our website as well. So if you're interested in how many rental units are under development or have been completed, or how many are in this neighborhood versus that Metro Council district, that is all on that dashboard.
So the plan itself is final?
It is. It was launched earlier this year, and we're already starting. We've got the strategies in motion, and like I said, you can go to see the dashboard to see where we are on the strategies. And we're looking to make some big progress in the next 2.5 years.
And tell me again where the dashboard is located?
Absolutely. Start with the city website, louisvilleky.gov, and when you look for all city departments, click on Housing and Community Development, and it will be under My Louisville Home. You can also just go to that city website and type in My Louisville Home, and you'll get there to the dashboard and the plan.
Perfect. Thank you, Laura, for coming over and spending some time.
Thank you for having me.
And telling us all about your department. If you ever want to come back, just let us know.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we'll have Jessica Kincaid is going to be here to talk a little bit about her office. So welcome back. So today we're doing Metro Matters a little different. Our first part of the show, we had Laura Grabowski with the Office for housing and community development. But this second half, I have Jessica Kincaid, and Jessica is with I want to make sure I get this right, Office of Arts and Creative Industries. Welcome, Jessica.
Good to be here.
You've been here before, and as I told Laura, you're a friend to the show, but thank you for spending a little time with us.
Absolutely.
So this office was launched last year, and you were the first director
That's correct.
of this office. So talk a little bit about what is this office?
Yeah, so this is actually Metro's first office ever focused on arts and culture, which is really exciting for our city and for Louisville Metro government. There was previously a position embedded in the Office of Advanced Planning, which was the public art administrator position, who was focused on, of course, overseeing Metro's public art program. But over the years also took on some additional responsibilities pertaining to our external agency fund grant making program and some cultural programming throughout the city, the Cultural Pass that's been really popular for the last 10 years. So it was just sort of acknowledged that it was time that Metro establish an office to really sort of fully resource and service arts and culture in our community. So the Office of Arts and Creative Industries was established, and it does have a little bit of a unique name just because it wanted to account for all of the work that it would encompass. To establish a traditional Office of Arts and Culture or Cultural Affairs would have required a bit more restructuring of Metro government. It may have overlapped a little bit more with libraries or parks or some other larger well-established agencies, but we really saw an opportunity, and there's a trend in the field for civic local government to be focusing on the creative economy and creative industries. So this office is positioned in the Cabinet of Economic Development alongside what was the Office of Economic Development, now LEDA, but also the Office of Planning, which really made it more accessible for us to collaborate more directly with a lot of the agencies that we work very closely with anyway. So,
do you work with very many outside arts agencies or creative?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have really close partnerships with a lot of different arts and culture organizations. We have been longtime partners with Fund for the Arts and the Arts and Culture Alliance of Greater Louisville and Kentuckiana. But because we do administer the external agency fund grants for arts and creative industries, we get to know a lot of different organizations of different size and scope and different disciplines. And we work very closely to know what they need in our community, what challenges that they're experiencing, how we can better resource them.
And so, how many people are in your office?
We are a small but mighty team of 3. We just added 2 new staff people in April. And one of them is focused on grant making programs pretty heavily, both administering the external agency fund grants for Metro, but also grant seeking on behalf of Metro and on behalf of Louisville so that we can bring even more funding into the community for arts and culture. And then the other position is a little bit more focused on community engagement and cultural programs. So things like Hearts, which we produce in partnership with Fund for the Arts and the Louisville Orchestra to bring community programming into Metro community centers and libraries, and then also is helping with the public art program a little bit as well.
So the public art program, are you still actually producing art installations,
Yes, we
exhibits,
are.
or anything like that?
We are very active in some public art projects right now. So just this past weekend, we started installing an asphalt art project in the Parkland neighborhood, which was funded through a Bloomberg Philanthropies grant. And we are working with 6 different artists to do installations at every intersection on 28th Street, all the way from Dumanil up to Kentucky. So that's really exciting. It's been fun to engage with the community and have them involved in selecting what kinds of colors they want to see used and what kinds of themes and imagery they would think best reflect their neighborhood. And then we also just closed a funding opportunity, a call for proposals for Metro's first flood wall mural, which is really exciting. So that'll be located at 10th Street and Rowan at the entrance to the new Phase 4 waterfront park.
So there'll be only one artist on that, or are you going to work with several artists on that wall? Because it's
We will select one proposal. Some artists applied as teams, but there will be one proposal for that commission. And we also offered some community mural grant funding opportunities as well. We, in partnership with Louisville Tourism, have been working on a public art mapping platform that's mobilely accessible. We've been working with an intern who's been on the ground, in the field, looking for art in all the neighborhoods. So we're really excited to be able to add new pinpoints to that map through these projects.
you mentioned the cultural plan. Talk a little bit, or the cultural. It's two things: the cultural pass and the cultural plan. So talk a little bit about both.
Yeah, so Cultural Pass is a program that Metro has, it's now in its 11th year. So we founded that in partnership with the Louisville Free Public Library and Fund for the Arts and the Arts and Culture Alliance. And it's to offer free summer programming and arts experiences to anyone 21 and under. You can go to your local library branch and sign up for the Cultural Pass and have access to more than 50 different arts experiences. It's also in tandem with summer reading program. So both of these projects combined, provide things for young people to do in out of school time and offset summer learning loss. So it's been a really successful program, but we're still looking to, can always be improved upon. We're hoping to expand it to year round. Some of our performing arts organizations haven't really been able to participate fully in Cultural Pass just because of their performance seasons. And so we would really like to make that accessible to all kinds of different organizations.
And this year, didn't they do like a demonstration or for senior citizens?
Yeah, so we did also expand a pilot project for senior Cultural Pass as well, which was really successful. There was a lot of interest in that. So we're still kind of wrapping that pilot project up and determining what we needed to learn from that initiative. But we definitely are looking to continue that as well.
Cool, great. And talk a little bit about the cultural plan.
Yeah. So we just contracted with a consultant firm called Designing Local that's based in Columbus, Ohio, to draft Metro's first comprehensive cultural plan. There have been a couple of different sort of strategic documents that have been generated through community organizations in the past. This cultural plan is not sort of designed to start from scratch, but rather build on the work of those strategic plans. To account for the establishment of this office and to sort of identify how we can best leverage our resources to fill service gaps that might not otherwise be being addressed by community organizations. But there were several tasks that were outlined in our request for proposals and as part of this process, which is one, to update our public art master plan, which is expired. And then also to do some cultural asset mapping, which is different than the public art mapping process that we just undertook. So cultural asset mapping would be to identify, what kinds of arts organizations, what kinds of arts programs do we have represented in our community? What kinds of venues do we have? Not just tangible assets either, but maybe social networks or professional networks that people can participate in. Any kind of resource that might allow people to better engage with arts and culture, whether they be an arts professional or a consumer of arts, to really create a comprehensive list or catalog, if you will, of our cultural assets in our community. They'll also be looking at different types of funding mechanisms that we might be able to utilize to better support our grant-making programs and the production of cultural experiences throughout the community. It's really exciting. We just started the process.
Can the community get involved?
Yep, absolutely. Okay. So right now we have a website open and live, and it's LouisvilleCreatesPlan.com. And you can go to sign up for updates. You can submit to be a stakeholder if you would like to do an initial stakeholder interview. We'll be releasing different kinds of surveys. There's some very specific information that we definitely want to make sure that we capture. We will be hosting community engagement events and a few public meetings throughout the course of this process. So it's going to be about 10 or 12 month long process, and we're just getting started. So lots of additional details to come.
One last question, because our time is ending, and I thank you for coming. But if someone wants to get involved with your office as a volunteer, are you guys open to that? Or
Well, we definitely always need volunteers for a variety of different, discrete projects and programs that we're offering. We have the Commission on Public Art meetings that occur every other month, and those are open public meetings if you're specifically interested in public art. But I think my recommendation to them would be to visit the Metro Office of Arts and Creative Industries website, sign up for our newsletter. We send out Metro Creates monthly. And we also have a database of different types of funding opportunities, whether they be grant opportunities or artist calls or things of that nature. And if they want to get in touch with us directly, they can reach out at arts@louisvilleky.gov.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for being here. Is there anything that we didn't cover that we still have about a minute or so? Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to talk about?
Just stay tuned on the flood wall mural project. I think that there's probably going to be an opportunity for some community voting on the design there, and there may be some additional asphalt art projects coming that might have some community paint days.
Talk a little bit about the asphalt project. Are you talking about what is on 4th Street?
Yeah, so like the crosswalks, and you see the crosswalks and the sidewalk is painted out on 5th in front of Metro Hall. But we've done a small handful of projects, pilot projects too, to do some testing and see what, learn some better practices. But we actually have a process where the community can apply to do a creative crosswalk, or a community crosswalk is what we're calling it, in their own neighborhood. If it's a neighborhood association or a nonprofit, there's a program through the Office of Planning to sign up for that. And there's also through the generosity of a private donor who was unfortunately impacted by a pedestrian versus vehicle accident. There's a fund at the Community Foundation to help supplement some of these community crosswalks in neighborhoods throughout Louisville.
And so if they're interested in that, they go to planning, on planning's website? Or?
Yeah, but I can help help
Okay.
connect them as well. So.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for being here. If you have something else, when the plan gets further along, if you want to come back and talk a little bit about the plan, feel free. Just let me know and we'll get you scheduled, okay? Thank you for watching Metro Matters on Metro TV.